On Tuesday, January On Tuesday, January 17th, Jay Briscoe of the Briscoe brothers was killed in an automobile accident in Laurel, Delaware. He was 38. Jay was a husband, a father, and to thousands of professional wrestling fans around the world, an incredible performer and athlete. On behalf of the Alliance Wrestling family, our thoughts and sympathies are with his family and friends.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and what can we tell you? And I see Jeremy's got his little granddaughter over there on the couch with him. That's family's what it's all about, isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys could hear my voice over that image. You could?
Yep.
Oh, great. Family certainly is what it's all about, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Jay Briscoe's family and friends. Incredibly sad to hear about that tragic car accident yesterday, and we'll talk about that. But as we do that, and we get your thoughts on his contributions as we go, let's also talk about what's going on and what's not going on. So once again, there's no NWA this week, fellas. We got a couple weeks, well, the 31st anyway.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And what we did get was Dr. Tom with WPC. We'll talk about that. But hey, this episode is entitled Funited Wrestling Network, because we get to do a deep dive into our first one ever into the United Wrestling Network today. And Jeremy's going to lead that one for us because he's the man who knows it. And we are the hangers-on who learn at the knee of the master. And Dave Scooby's got he's going to talk about some fantasy booking around. Well, should Crockett Cup teams from outside the NWA be in the NWA if they're not part of the storylines? Hello, we have an in-person fan, your sidekick.
My partner in crime, that's for sure.
I noticed that she never speaks while you're drinking water.
No. Do that.
Well. Oh, she likes that. She's talking to Pop. So listen, guys, let's get right into it. We've got Willie Bone in always first in the chat with the she's gorgeous. Willie's got his Tyrus joke of the day.
It's a doozy, too.
Yeah. Idiot Mania Sports Management has a costume party. Austin Idol and Tyrus were in a horse costume. Austin was the head, and Tyrus was himself. Oh, Willie, dangerous. Sam Retro is here. What's up to you, my friend? I see a lot of you are out there looking at us, so please get in the chat and say hello. Well, let's let's talk about Jay Briscoe right off the bat. 38 years old.
Heavy booger.
And I would say that if we knew anything as fans about Jay Briscoe, we knew that he was one of the elite tag team wrestlers and just flat out wrestlers in the world today. But specifically, although I know he was an ROH world heavyweight champion. He was a 13-time ROH World Tag Team Champion with his brother Mark. And, I actually just saw a tweet from him the other day. I don't know if it was old or what, but he said, I got a new hat, and it had 13 times written on the front. Really, what is – there isn't anybody online, guys. Dave, I'll go to you first. I'm on Twitter. I'm looking at Twitter, and it's just an outpouring from his colleagues, his peers, and the fans and people who know him. What have you seen and heard? What are your thoughts on the hole that's left behind?
I mean, I've seen a few idiots posting stuff, and it's unfortunate that, I mean, in a time like this, look at the good and put the bad to the side.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can change. I mean, I've posted stupid stuff online. You delete it, but it's still there. Somebody has seen something that you've done that you may not either agree with anymore, or you just, in haste, you posted something stupid.
Yeah.
I myself, I mean, social media is just that. It's social. It's probably 50-50, I say, of truth and then people trying to build themselves up. That, I mean, most of the time I'm promoting wrestling for the good of wrestling. And if somebody has a negative comment, I'll either block them or I'll be like, hey guys, I just put this out here. If you guys want to argue about it, argue amongst yourselves, not on my post. And most of the times I'm like, try to see the good in everything.
Right.
And I mean, you look at these guys that if ROH would have had even half, or hell, even a quarter of the push that AEW has had over the last couple years. I mean, Ring of Honor was around for 20 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys were there at the beginning.
Very beginning.
Very beginning. I mean, they were, I think 16 or 17 and like 18 or 19, something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first couple shows, they couldn't wrestle as a tag team because the state they were wrestling you had to be 18 to wrestle.
Yep.
You had to have a license. You had to be, it fell under the sports commission, and unfortunately, both of them weren't 18 at the time. But I mean, it's just amazing what they did in ROH and outside of ROH. They had some this past year. But I mean, imagine if they were actually on a wrestling promotion or in a wrestling promotion that was highly promoted.
Yeah.
I'm here in Baltimore. ROH used to be out of Philadelphia, and then they headquartered in Baltimore. I'd see these guys once or twice a month at our nightclubs. Then we'd do a wrestling promotion, or they'd just show up if they were in town training. They'd show up at the bar. Hey, we just want to just give us a bottle, a couple of glasses. We're going to go sit over in the corner. They didn't bother anybody. And we'd have several different wrestlers come in at different times. It was just, it's actually sad that the Briscoes and some of the other people that were in ROH before AEW or Tony Khan took over, you think of all the different people that were in there. What would the WWE be like? What would AEW be like if there wasn't an ROH?
Yeah, that's true.
If you just go and look at all the different talent and where they started or where they ended up in ROH, and then they moved on. But I mean, it's a laundry list of names that are in different promotions that, I mean, who knows if there would be an actual AEW if there wasn't ROH.
That's a really good point. And there's I think we can all, even us on this podcast, kind of relate with being attached to a in our very small way, representatives of as fans of the NWA and the UWN, which are not big mainstream names anymore. But there's got to be, and I hope there was for Jay and for Mark, some comfort in, like, when I think of WWF, I think of Hulk Hogan. And when I think of NWA, I thought of Ric Flair. And when I thought of Ring of Honor, I thought about the Briscoe brothers. So hopefully I'm sure there was. They wouldn't have stayed there 20 years like Sam Retro just said if they didn't. Jeremy, arguably the greatest tag team of the modern generation, arguably, but certainly, if not one, maybe two. 1 or 1A, your thoughts on what's happened?
This is a tag team that in 15 years from now, 20 years from now, 3 guys just like us will be sitting around in whatever format it's called then, talking about a tag team that reminds them of the Briscoes. Ring of Honor did a really good job of maintaining kind of an underground vibe, but skirting that mainstream line, and that afforded the Briscoes a lot of exposure that they wouldn't have gotten any other way. They would have been great in the WWE, but Vince would have booked them like a bushwhacker or something like that.
I agree.
I would have loved to have seen what Tony could have done with them in AEW, or how far they would have gone in the new incarnation of Ring of Honor, having just won the belts for the 13th time. That's you're not going to be able to not talk about them in the future as one of the best to ever do it. They were brothers in real life. You don't get a better bond than that when it comes to tag team than you have with a family member. You look at Luke and PJ Hawks. They have a great dynamic and chemistry together, and they should, because they are family.
Right.
They have the same mentality. They know how one fights and can back that up and cover the weakness, or what have you. And to watch those two in the ring was something special.
Yeah, well said. I'm seeing FTR, just devastated. Dax Harwood on Twitter, and so many other people who have touched their lives have been touched by Jay. And I'm not surprised by the positivity, because there's a lot of positivity behind the scenes in pro wrestling. We tend to hear about the negativity. I think it sells more. But one of the things, and it kind of goes back to like what you were saying before, Dave, was, you say one thing online years ago, and it's one stupid thing, and it gets held against you. There's a tweet this afternoon from Effie, and if the guys watching out there are not familiar with Effie is an openly gay wrestler.
Yep.
And Effie tweeted,
Effie's Big Gay Brunch.
That's right.
Yep. Great show, by the way. Check it out.
Yeah. And he's got 10,000 likes for this, so great for him. He wrote, Jay Briscoe showed me respect and love when everyone told me he wouldn't. If you knew Jay, you knew he would uplift everyone in that locker room, regardless of whatever world they came to wrestling from. The best.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, he just seems like from everyone who's talking online that he was a legitimately great dude, and the matches he had in FTR with FTR recently have been great. And as Sam Retro pointed out, I'm glad he got the chance to win the Crockett Cup with Mark before he passed, well, with all of his other accomplishments. Me too. Jay says Effie's pure class. And I agree.
And after all of that hullabaloo came out, whenever Ring of Honor got bought and they were going to bring the Briscoes onto AEW or what have you, and people started revolting and everything. And Pollo was one of the first people to be like, hey, look, people make mistakes.
Yeah.
And he was a man about it. He owned up to it. I said it. It wasn't, it wasn't right.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know what else it is that we can say other than to say that he'll definitely be missed. For me, what I was saying before we went live, it was part of it wasn't just the skill and the plausibility is the word I like to use in pro wrestling, right?
Yeah.
The suspension of disbelief and give me some plausibility. They always gave me that. Jay especially.
Yeah.
Mark does that. What does he call it? The redneck kung fu.
Redneck kung fu.
Come on, man.
Redneck karate. Yep.
Yeah. But it was the look for me. I mean, 38 years old, like you were saying, like they weren't 18. They couldn't wrestle. Their faces looked like they were 53, and their bodies looked like they were 38, right?
Yeah.
And it was just incredibly the Bushwhackers actually are probably the closest I can think of in terms of look, right down to the dress.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That and that's why, that when I first saw them, I was like, kind of got a little bushwhacker vibe to them, But that's what Vince would have done to him. He would have made him some dumb hillbilly rednecks, and
yeah. If you're doing Halloween this year, Jeremy, I think we got the costume for you.
I've had dreads before.
There you go.
I don't recommend it, but I've had them before. I don't think I could do them anymore. The hair's starting to thin a little. So.
Jim and Music Man's here. Guys, so sad to hear with the passing of Jay Briscoe. Dem boys forever. That's the hashtag today. Absolutely. What a loss. And as Jay says, Johnny Valentine once said, I can't make you believe wrestling is real, but I can make you believe I'm real. Jay was real. Dr. Tom said that as well, last night, I think, is when he put that in. So let's remember Jay and say goodbye to him just for now, as we'll press on. Again, our deepest condolences and thoughts to his friends and family, his colleagues. Let's talk about last night. NWA Presents with William Patrick Corgan, our illustrious owner, with Dr. Tom. It was the second in the series following Austin Idol's first parter. Honest to goodness, I thought part 2 of Austin Idol was this week.
I did too.
It should have been. It was listed on Fight. I'm not sure if they switched stuff around, but logically you'd think part 1 and then part 2 would be the next week, but looks like either, I'm not sure if we'll do part 2 of Dr. Tom next week or Austin Idol. It does show that there will be NWA Presents right before the live Power. So who knows?
Yeah. I think the fact that either it wasn't what it was advertised, which would have been Austin Part 2, or that we don't know that if we got it right or wrong, it shows that the NWA continues to have a problem with communication.
Yeah.
It should be very clear days before.
I mean, logically, if you have part 1 and part 2, they should follow each other.
Yeah.
I agree.
But who knows?
Sam says, yeah, I enjoyed Dr. Tom. In my opinion, I think it was better than Austin Idol. And I'm guessing that will be probably our opinions as well. So, Jeremy, you watched this? What did you think of Dr. Tom and his session with Billy Corgan?
This was another one. I enjoyed it. I listened to Cornette. I listened to Jim Ross. I listened to Tony Schiavone. I listened to Arn Anderson podcast. Because I want to hear those old war stories.
Right.
And that's what this was. But again, it was a podcast. It like Dave said in the Discord, put some matches in there. Even if they don't even have to be NWA matches right now. Just put some of their matches up there. Who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the thing that frustrates me about it. It is a good thing. I enjoy it. But if you're going to present it to me like this, then give me wrestling in place of wrestling and intersperse wrestling into it. I don't care if it's modern or the person you're interviewing, but
yeah, you can't tell me Dr. Tom Pritchard or Austin Idol for that matter don't own some footage that Billy could have seen.
Right. Or Billy for that matter. Come on, Billy. Man.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me that you don't own some business. And then my other complaint with it is the Steiner math on it. Why are we getting over an hour on interviews, but Power usually barely makes an hour, and USA is typically 30 to 35 minutes on average. So sometimes I think Billy's focus is on the wrong things. Well, I don't think it. I know it is.
I would agree. Sam Retro says, on Fight TV, it was lined up with Dr. Tom episode last night and second part the same night as Power Live. How can that be? Again, I don't know what's going on over there, but that is what it is, I guess, currently until it's fixed. Sam says he said the same thing, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Dave, Dr. Tom was good enough to get me to go on Pro Wrestling Tees and buy a JP Wrestling Academy T-shirt. So he must have been somewhat compelling. What did you think of the show?
Dr. Tom is a character.
Yeah.
I met him and just shook his hand and told him thank you for everything he's done for wrestling, because you really don't know. You're finding out if you don't know who Dr. Tom is. If you just know him as a body Donna from the WWF, that's maybe a pinky toe of a whole body of work.
Right.
That, I mean, Dr. Tom, of all the people he's trained, all the people that he has either worked with in the business or actually wrestled, I mean, it's a laundry list.
Yeah.
He may not be a big name on like he may not be like a Hulk Hogan that, oh, you flash the name up and everybody goes, oh wow, I got to go see this, I got to go check this match out. But just the history that he has in the business and the people that he's worked with, and that, like I said, the people he's trained. If it wasn't for Dr. Tom, we wouldn't have half the wrestlers we have the wrestling now.
I did some Steiner math last night on that when he said his age, and he said he broke in, taking photographs ringside, that thanks to his brother when he was 12. It's been 48 years he's been in this business.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know anybody, well, I mean, very few people who can say that and still, he was also so super sharp.
Yeah.
For someone who took blows to the head for a living, one way or the other. You know, you mentioned all those other podcasts, Jeremy, and I thought, like, when I was growing up, my number one favorite wrestler, hands down, solid decade, Arn Anderson. I didn't want to be Ric Flair. I wanted to be Arn Anderson. But I find his podcast almost unlistenable sometimes. It's like, tell us about the time that you dropped the TV title to Renegade. He'll be like, oh, man,
Yeah.
I barely remember it. That guy sucked. What else have you got? I'm like, oh, geez. So,
But he's honest, though. I don't know. I don't remember it, and that person sucked. So let's go to something else.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam said, I felt that his interview was full of energy. He couldn't sit still telling the stories. I loved it. Yeah,
I thought he was going to jump out of that chair every 4 seconds.
Yeah, I thought he was better than Idol, and I thought Idol was good.
Yeah.
Jay says, I dislike the NWA's lack of communication, and it's getting to the point where it's the norm now, and maybe it has been for a while, but I mean, I think that some of the people who are, I mean, Jay, you may even be one of them, knowing who's behind the scenes there, maybe someone ought to, like, I don't know, drop them a line and say, what's up? It's we'd like to know when the actual things that are being advertised are coming out, and you know, don't keep us guessing. But anyway, yeah, Sam is confused about the whole Fight TV thing. Me too.
Yeah.
And I was confused a while ago when the communication was, as of tonight, we're on YouTube, so go there. And I know we'd already talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it was like, why didn't you say on this date, 2 weeks, 4 weeks down the road, we will be on YouTube, and we thank Fight. We're still partnering for pay-per-views, and that'll be great, and boom, boom, boom. Rather than just go, yeah, you can go there now. It's fine. Like, why didn't this get? I don't know. I'm confused, guys. But it was a good session. I think it has the same problems. It was obviously filmed all at the same time as the Idol interview with the small photos, and maybe they could use the screen moving forward, or like they could overlay it onto the screen.
Yeah.
Jay's got the answer. They make it up as they go.
It honestly feels that way a lot of times, especially with their communication and stuff. It feels very much so.
But which is scarier then, guys, if that's the case? Is it scarier that Billy and his staff are not doing a good job of communication? Or is it scarier that essentially it's rudderless and it just goes where it goes? Yeah,
there's actually communication going on behind the scenes, and they're just okay with this. That's scarier than rudderless.
Yeah.
At least with rudderless, you know that no one's guiding it. If something's being guided and it's going bad, then to me, that person's an idiot.
Yeah. I think Sam here, by the way, is saying, talking about this is why they didn't say anything, but the NWA did say that they're honoring all the subscriptions until the time when they run out. So I guess pay-per-views fall into that would be my guess. Then you're already paid up.
Yeah.
For me, you know what? I'll bring something up in a second. I got an email saying it has been canceled from somebody at Fight, whose name I don't remember. Then it was an email immediately at the same time saying, welcome to Fight and your new subscription.
Oh, wow.
And then it was an email. I'll screenshot it and I'll show it next time. And then it was from an email from the NWA explaining what's up. But I just thought of something else. Did you guys get a email, I'm going to say maybe a year ago, from Kyle Davis on behalf of the NWA saying that as a subscriber that you have won, they're sending you an NWA t-shirt?
No.
Really?
No.
I did.
Did you get it?
Nope. When I wrote back, I didn't think of the person as actually Kyle, just Kyle being the voice from the podium of the NWA at that time. I just said, I am in Canada. I would understand if I don't get one. And then nothing ever came.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll have to maybe screenshot that stuff and yeah.
I'm glad I didn't get one that said that thing, because I would have been upset if I didn't get my shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the bonus content that they talked about that they didn't deliver on as well.
Maybe. Sam says I would have canceled. I got billed the week before. I was going back to YouTube. That's bad business.
Yeah,
not knowing. But
and yeah,
kind
like,
of in a way, it's good for
price
you.
sucks too.
But it's kind of, I think, and here's part of the confusion. I think it's kind of good for you. If you got billed for a 1-year subscription again, that means you get all the pay-per-views under that subscription until it runs out. That's what NWA said they will honor, right?
Yep.
So you don't have to pay I don't know, whatever the pay-per-view is going to be.
Probably $20-$30.
Yeah. Yeah. Jay says fight sucks too.
It does. It does. I hate that ad. And that
He
is
also
the wrong
got billed.
part.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I had monthly. Okay.
Ah.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, as the stomach turns, the drama continues with NWA and its communication. Let's talk about one last thing with the NWA before we jump into the United Wrestling Network and do our first ever deep dive on that. So we wanted to ask the question, if I were Billy Corgan, and be kind in the chat. If I were Billy Corgan, the first thing I do with the NWA is, and kind of challenged each other to come up with a few suggestions. And maybe I'll read the ones that I put in our little Discord, but I'm definitely interested in hearing yours. I haven't heard yours in the chat yet. You two gentlemen, I mean. And then in the chat, we definitely want to hear your take. What would you change about the NWA right now? Dave, what would you go first? If you were Billy Corgan and you had control, what would the first things you'd be changing be?
Well, it's little things. I come from working in nightclubs and I worked in radio. Now, what you do is you promote what you're doing. That if you're in radio, the morning show promotes, hey, listen this afternoon with whatever DJ, he has a chance for you to win tickets to see the Smashing Pumpkins. Oh my God, it's cross promotion. Right. Use Power and USA, pre-promote each of the shows. Promote what matches may be coming up. You don't have to say, all you have to say is, hey, don't forget to join us for NWA USA, where Angelina Love will be in action. We'll also hear from our tag champs. Don't forget, it's coming up this Saturday on YouTube.
Great idea.
Simple stuff. It gives you something to look forward to. You can pre-promote, and you can also look back. Hey, if you missed last week's episode, do like they do on TV. Hey, The Big Bang Theory. Here's what happened last week.
Right.
Now let's go to the show.
Right.
So you have an idea of what to expect, that if EC3 was on last week's show and he challenges someone to wrestle, hey, you know he challenged somebody to wrestle. You won't be in shock when you see EC3 in the ring. You know last week he challenged somebody to come out and wrestle him.
Yep.
It's little things like that. It's not big changes.
Cross promotion and pre-promotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of them. I have three. Do you want me to just...
Yeah, lay them all out for me, my friend.
Okay, now, USA, I would use that show. It's a shorter show. Use that to build up contenders. You can still have storylines. You can have your newer talent highlight them. But I mean, if you're going to have talent that's not ready for Power yet, build up contenders. Use USA to either build those contenders for a championship and have the champions sit in on commentary. Imagine Pretty Empowered sitting in with Joe Galley, and Velvet takes a hike because she doesn't want to be there, and they're watching a tag match with who knows. They can pick out whoever, and they can make fun of whoever's wrestling, and then when that team wins, they have to take it all back. They have to do a step back and go, oh, okay, well, maybe, but maybe you guys just won by luck. Well, we'll see. Next week we'll go. You build it up that it's a tag team, and it may go 1-on-1, and if they win that 1-on-1, then they can go for the tag belts.
That's an amazing.
Use it just to build up some rivalries that you can then either have as a good main event on USA or as a kickoff on Power. Mm-hmm. Hey, you may have seen these teams on USA. Now it's their chance to go after the belts.
It's an amazing idea, and it piqued a memory in my brain of my brain just went, when has this happened before? And I immediately thought, you guys will probably remember it years ago. Edge and Christian at ringside when Bret Hart was in the ring, and Christian would be like, now he's going to go to the second rope.
Yep.
Because he wrestled a Bret Hart match, right? And then it was hilarious. Now he's going to drop that elbow, Yeah, but I remember it. I remember that impact at ringside. Before you give me your third, James Bell says, for the first one, for the marketing, I mean, you need to drop 100 to 125K on a real full-time marketing person, and they haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think that suggestion is really a super easy one that I don't know you need to hire somebody particular for to cross promote like that. You could have Galley do it. Anyway, James also says USA would be my parents' grandparents' Watch for the Kid show with the Fixers. I'll throw in Rolando. Fixers, Sal, throw in Rolando every once in a while and new talent.
Yeah.
Kind of a good focus for it there. What's your third one, Dave?
Well, if when you said do some fantasy booking, and I said, okay, Crockett Cup. Well, It's coming up in April or May if they do it.
Right.
You have to build up the tag team division, both in men's and women's. That they do a Crockett Cup. What would be the equivalent of a female tag team possibly going in, and they have either a female version of the Crockett Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you could build up some teams, but right now the tag team division, it's not, I'm not going to say it's bad or it's weak. It's just not as strong as it could be.
Yeah.
That right now there's 3 or 4 good, stronger teams that you can highlight on Power. Then there's 3 to 4 lower level teams. I'm not going to say that they're not as strong, but they need to be built up.
Right. That's
And
a great idea.
they can fill out a bracket if they go 14 teams, or no, it would be 16 teams. Or you can work it where there's somebody has a bye, but it's one of these things of they need to look around at the teams that they already have. They pushed the Spectaculars, and then they've made a joke of them.
Yep.
By contrast, where's the Now?
Yep.
I like the Now.
Yeah.
There's several teams that they could bring in, and I'll get to that down the line for the Crockett Cup, but they need to work on building up and giving some teams some wins.
Yeah.
That, yes, you're not going to do 50-50 booking. You need to figure out who your quote unquote job teams are. And just when they get a win, it's a surprise. It's almost like a Barry Horowitz type thing.
Right.
You knew he never really had a chance, but when he did have that chance and won, it shocked everybody.
Yep.
Right. Or the Mokies or the Gladiators. Yeah.
That if you have 2 or 3 undercard tag teams, throw some more guys together, that if they're not being featured, why not make a tag team out of them? You're getting more people on screen and they're getting more time in the ring.
Yeah.
They use some of your under talent that if they're okay losing in a singles match, they won't have a problem losing in a tag match because it's 50-50. I may not get pinned. It may be my partner. Our team lost, but I didn't lose. Our team lost.
Right.
So it's one of those things. You have to build up your tag teams if you're going to do a Crockett Cup. And I'll get on that in the fantasy booking, but there's just a lot going on in the NWA now, and I'm not going to say I'm worried, but there's not a lot of positive that I see going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. I think those are 3 great suggestions. To mine, like, you could have Joe deliver that message. James says, no. Joe, seriously, no. Willie says that the Briscoes would have been like cartoon characters in the WWE. Yeah. Great. Jeremy, how about you? What do you got for us?
The first thing that I would have done is, and I was looking over Smashing Pumpkin tour dates, and this is something that I've said from the beginning, is that was a platform that Billy just wasn't utilizing, is the fact that he is a touring musician. So you automatically have an audience, have them come out, be the opening act,
Yep.
Utilize that. You've got people that have bought tickets to see you and the product that you're putting out. While it's not music, it's still part of your product, and you should be promoting that as much as possible. Now he's doing it, and that'll be for 3 days. And then in May, the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th, they will be at the Napa Valley Expo as well for the Battle Rock Napa Valley. There's another opportunity for him to, I'm not saying bring your entire roster and production crew or anything like that. Bring a handful of your top talent, pay for them to go there for 3 days, and wrestle for an hour before the concert officially starts. Set them up out in the parking lot next to the entrance or something, and just have them wrestling matches.
Awesome. The Rock and Wrestling Connection.
Yeah. My second one, the production value needs to be stepped up a little bit more. The studio that they're using now compared to the old GPP studios, I like that riser bleacher seating type that they had going on. It felt like they had that one hard cam. It felt like a packed crowd, and I would like to see them get back into a bigger television studio that offers them seating like that, because that works if you're in an arena and you've got floor seating and then the riser seating. But if all you got is floor seating for this, You come out of your pocket a little bit more. That's my third thing. Come out of your pocket more. You've got to come out of your pocket more. Memphis is doing it. Memphis just had in Tommy Dreamer, and I don't know how much Tommy, commands for an appearance or anything like that, but they just had Tommy Dreamer in. They're bringing in Blake Christian and James Ellsworth. Again, not big names, but names nonetheless. And they're going to have Moose as part of their red carpet rumble. So,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got to come out of pocket more. You need to have bigger names than what you currently have, I feel. You need someone that is not a Tyrus, that you either like him because of his politics or you hate him because he just can't fucking wrestle.
Right.
I don't think I don't look at Tyrus and go, that's a world champion. I look at Tyrus and go, that's a monster. I never saw monsters with titles growing up as a kid. They may get them for a hot second, but that's it. They're not.
What did a belt ever do for Bruiser Brody?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here we are still talking about him today.
Yeah, that's right.
15, 20 years from now, they'll be talking about this Tyrus reign and they will be shitting all over it just like we are right now.
I agree. Great suggestions, and it's terrible that that's the truth. That's what's going to happen. Maynard from Tool, and I think it's Lucifer.
Pucifer.
He wrote Lucifer. I don't know. But Pucifer had 3 to 4 matches in between sets all over the world. That's to your earlier point. And Heather Monroe, Jay says, wrestled all over the world earlier in her career because of that.
Yep. Maynard James Keenan, the lead singer for Tool and Pucifer, was an elite Roman Greco collegiate style wrestling wrestler as a youth and teenager, and also does training for it as well. He did I think he started training while he was still in the service and training service members as part of close quarter combat. But yeah, he's another guy that is a big wrestling fan.
Huh. Heather Monroe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. I believe this is a little alliance fact. Your seatmate, your seat partner on your trip to China to see the NWA World's title defended there. James says they needed to be back in Atlanta taping with the stadium seating. It's like you're saying, Jer. Yeah, I agree. I love that riser. There was something, and you'll forgive because I know it's not PC right now, but when Marty Skrull showed up and like, oh my God, it's Villain Enterprises, and he came down that riser, and there was something about that entrance rather than just through the curtains, that made that worthwhile, and you can really see that crowd as you point out. They're not just littered around the floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. It was a sideshow type lucha act. The band was Pucifer. The act was called Lucifer.
Okay.
And yes, we were like best friends, Heather and I. That's awesome. I'll do mine. A couple of them I'll combine. One is interviews. What I would change if I was Billy. Interviews at the podium again with Kyle Davis. I liked that aspect of it. It took me back to the old 80s style. Like I sometimes mention, Ric Flair talking to Ricky Morton, like, here's your pair of panties, and Ricky decking him and Flair falling down in front of the podium. And like, it's that setting.
Yeah.
It's not really in the back with May, which are fine. You can do those. But I like it at the podium. And I really like the Champion Series camera talks.
Yeah.
where it's just boom, like no one's asking a question and they're just there, and it's just like, you let Black G's or Chris Silvio or whoever just go, do their modern day Dusty Rhodes bit, right, and just let them do it, and give that 30-second, 45-second bit to the people that we haven't heard much from yet.
Yeah.
And Champion Series did that with Joe Alonzo and Rhett Titus and a bunch of people I've never heard speak before.
Yeah.
And that really helps them get over with me. Another one that I'll forget the outside tag teams because we'll talk about that Crockett Cup in a little bit. But one thing I would absolutely change would be having the TV title defended every single week.
Yes.
Not on both shows, but just on one show. Pick a show. If it's at USA, fantastic. It should be USA. I grew up watching an NWA broadcast out of Vancouver, 3,000 kilometers across the other side of the country for me. But broadcasting on the CBC, it was Al Tomko's All-Star Wrestling. It was a high school gym somewhere. There was like 12 people in the crowd. But it didn't matter. He had Bruiser Brody. He had Abdullah the Butcher. He had all of these names. And some people that I've never heard of before, but they still stay with me now. Sadistic Steve Strong. And, anyway, but he had a television title. And that title was defended every single week. And sometimes the champions would come out and they'd be like, like I'm exhausted. I've had this thing for 5 weeks now. But they played it as, these are the workhorses here. These are the guys who are showing you how tough they are. And they are taking that step up to, they only had one other singles title, but like you could do that in the NWA where he is taking that step up to be in contention to the national title, being in contention to maybe the World Junior if he's a junior heavyweight, and having the title focused on once per week. I honestly would not care as a fan if that was what it was doing, if it didn't get defended on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah. You could see the TV champion resting. Like, oh my God, okay. I don't have to go this week or whatever. But I think that would be fun. Number one for me, though, I didn't put it on the list, is I would swallow my pride if I were Billy Corgan. The first thing I do with the NWA is get myself a booker.
Yeah.
I work in my day job in facilities. I run an airport and I run a hospital, and I have an operations manager who works for me. And it is sometimes tough for me to swallow the fact that she is better at that aspect of the work than I am. She gets the accolades from Reed fans, but from the clients, and because she's good at it. I have other stuff I have to do behind the scenes that isn't that stuff. I think it's exactly the same thing that needs to happen for Billy. You got to find yourself a booker to be out there who does this professionally. And like, you know what? Have a booking team if you want. Be the junior guy. Hold the veto where if he goes, all right, we're taking the belt off Tyrus, you can go, okay, no, we're not, because here's the larger plan. But you have to have someone who 90% of the time has to be able to have control of that product. 99% of the time, actually. And I actually think that I wouldn't want Billy to have the veto vote, but to have someone up front who is experienced that you can learn from. And I know Billy's done this before, but I think there's some more work to do now. And I really think he could benefit from doing that for the next couple of years. Maybe that's Dr. Tom. I don't know. Maybe it's Simon Diamond or whatever his name is, Pat Kenny. Maybe it's someone from the outside. We know Cornette's not coming out of the castle anytime soon.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back there.
No.
So yeah, that would be what I would change. Jay says TV championship should only be defended on TV.
Yeah. And I agree. Billy definitely needed someone to tell him, don't send a gimp out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Willie asks, doesn't Billy own the rights to wrestling from the Sam Houston Coliseum in Texas? You mean the library, right? I think he has access to it.
I think he has access to it. I don't remember if he owns it or not. Jay would probably know better, but I do believe he does have access to it.
Yeah. Well, those are some things. Maybe we'll look at this down the road in a few weeks and do another one of these things as we go. But it has been an interesting week. I'm gonna put you in the middle here. There you go. It has been an interesting week in the United Wrestling Network, and in where we have had some shows that have sort of the year in review.
Yep.
In front of the Red Carpet Rumble. So maybe give them a 60-second lead in if they're not watching the UWN, where we are right now and what the Red Carpet Rumble is all about.
So the Red Carpet Rumble is kind of like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's reset button, you could say. Their WrestleMania, where they wrap up storylines, start new storylines out, go in, and it's a good time. And it'll this year I'm really wanting to see what happens this year, because I've seen little bits and pieces of some behind the scenes stuff and heard some things, but I haven't delved into those yet. But I hear some interesting things have went on there, so I'm intrigued to see what happens this year with it.
Yeah. So the UWN, for because I'm a fair. I mean, I watched it here and there. My daughter loves it. Just goes ape shit ballistic for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that they're putting in the airwaves that make her especially acceptable to the UWN, but it is essentially a combination Championship Wrestling as their TV show of Hollywood and Memphis, right?
Yeah.
And broadcasting on YouTube currently on the Memphis channel.
Yes. Memphis Wrestling channel. Yes. On YouTube. And that's kind of a I scratch yours, you scratch my back kind of setup. It helps out both sides of the fence. Dustin's just started up restarted, I should say, the Memphis Wrestling brand, and him and Dave have worked together. Dustin used to be an announcer in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood,
right? And
he's got a great mind for the business. And this kind of gives he does the lead in on Sunday or on Saturdays, and then Championship Wrestling from Hollywood premieres on their channel on Sunday. And it's a nice partnership between them, you know.
Just before we get into the actual week, just to follow up on the last one, Sam says he's heard him say that on one of the videos he owns the library. Jay says he doesn't own it. That's the Paul Bosch library. So there you go. And as far as the UWN goes, Sam's looking for UWN merch. I haven't seen any. I did see a T-shirt, but I got the impression it was not an authorized T-shirt from the UWN.
Yeah, I don't know that he does any type of UWN merch like that. I'm not sure. I know Memphis does. Memphis has a couple of things, but you got to deal with pro wrestling tees for that, which I'm going to do again. Finally got my Reno Scum shirt, and I'm going to torture myself again and get a Beef Candy and Midnight Heat shirt and a Briscoe shirt, you know. But
nice. Hey, by the way, since we're on shirts, I got mine. You can get our smiling, beautiful faces of the Alliance if for some reason you wanted to. I think right now it's there's probably a dozen sold just from our families alone, but we look great. Look at DKM. Look at that handsome.
Look at that face.
You got Lamb. You got this ugly guy right here. You got Chris and
yeah.
Jay, and that's Jaden right there, everybody.
Yeah.
That's what Jaden looks like.
Jaden is actually a talking eagle that is related to Eagly from Peacemaker.
That's right.
That's why you don't ever see him, because it would really freak out general public, and the government would probably come seize him and do tests on him. So.
That's right. You got Scooby, you got Kevin, and you got look at that guy right there. Look at that. Look at that man down there in the corner. Look at that beard, that Briscoe-esque beard.
Can I just point out how cherub-ish that DKM looks in that?
I know this is still not DKM, right?
And happy, a happy DKM. That's that. If that doesn't bring a smile to your face, I don't know what will.
This was a picture that was taken when. Actually, back in 1987, when he was watching NWA wrestling at that time.
Oh, okay. Damn, he was bald back then even?
I didn't call you ugly. I said this guy up here. I'm talking about me. You're not a very handsome man, however. So take us in. We had some recap shows. What are we looking at?
Well, first we're going to talk about Memphis Wrestling, and it's part one of the Grind City Rumble. We've got Dustin Starr and my mind just went blank. Terrence Ward. We have Dustin Starr and Terrence Ward on commentary. Mm-hmm. And we start out with a match between Big Swell Justin Cole and Prince Gaston. This match went 1 minute and 3 seconds, and the 3 seconds was the 3 count. I don't know what Prince Gaston was thinking, or on what multiverse does he ever win this? I don't understand why he took this match or proposed it or what have you.
Right.
Because it was a squash match.
It was nothing.
Yeah, it was over in a minute. Swell did have a big 2023 or a big 2022. I'm not sure how he's going to fare in the Grind City Rumble. I see him lasting for a while, but my money's on K Toomer. This was it was what it was supposed to be. It showed off Big Swole, got him over a little bit more with the fans. Got him a little bit of time on the mic immediately after.
Yeah.
It ate up 1 minute and 3 seconds of your time. I enjoyed it for what it was. What did you think, Dave?
I have a solid but short match. It did put over Swole, but for being just over a minute, he seemed awful winded during his interview.
He was blown up. He definitely was.
I'm like, I don't know if somebody hasn't been working out as much or enjoyed the holidays a little too much. But the match did what it was supposed to do. Got him into the Rumble, and got him over. Got him a little mic time, and just kept the story rolling.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. That was something that I noticed, was that he was blowed up. He was blowed up after, and it was 1 minute 3 seconds. And you're getting ready to go into a Rumble. Come on, bro.
I'm like, yeah.
What did you think about it, Tim?
The same as you guys. Dave stole what I was going to take. Right, took the words right out of my mouth. It was after the match was over. It's been a minute, and he was like, "Okay, just wait 1 second, just a second." The guy, he needs some mic time. That guy, and you can see sometimes with people when they don't know what to say, their eyes go left and right, and like they're trying to what else should I be saying? he needs a little bit of coaching. But this is Memphis, and like this is like my second, third look at Memphis, and the Wrestle Center is a weird place. So it's distracting for me. It's small, but like I think that it's probably deceptively smaller than it actually is. And the baby blue walls everywhere are really distracting. Those strange risers, and like the ceiling is so high that it looks like there's like 40 feet of dead air above the ring before you get to the lights. And it's just
I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah.
Also, and I know I mentioned this to you before, but if you're watching Memphis, it feels like the hard cam is facing the wrong side of the arena. It looks like they're going out. Who's that guy? Uncle, what's his name?
Uncle Mikey.
Uncle Mikey. At one point in Uncle Mikey's, when I was watching recently, he left that way.
Yeah.
And then he came back that way. He's just being Uncle Mikey. And I thought, but why aren't we watching them come in on the hard cam rather than, I don't know.
And that's something that we talked about in the Discord, and it is odd because you'll be watching a match and then all of a sudden you'll see somebody come in with nachos and a drink. And it's like, why in the hell am I? If you're a first time watcher, you're thinking, why in the hell who is the wrestler with nachos and a drink?
There was a poor woman too, in a wheelchair on one of the aisles, and they're like, "Yeah, the wrestlers come in," and they're like, "Yeah, I gotta get around her." Yeah. Oh my goodness. One other thing about it too, though, and it's just me, and it'll all come out in the wash, I'm sure. But on the commercials, of which there are too many, they show a screenshot about like, hey, you can come to the Wrestle Center and you can watch us live, and it's taken from the back of the room, and they show this sea of seats up to the front. That's bullshit. Those seats are not there. It's like twice as many seats as you people have.
It's like they took the picture and cropped it, and then added the back part back onto it. Just take out that 8-row seats and crop it back behind. Duplicate that and crop it behind it. That'll give it depth.
Right. Anyway, false advertising, but this was what it was. Carry on.
And that was another thing with the seating that they have on the side of the ring, where it's just that one row. It feels like a lot of times it feels like it's just set up in a double wide trailer.
Championship wrestling from double wide.
I honestly, the first time I saw it, and now that I'm saying it, it sounds like something that Ricky would have came up with on Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
And he did with the ice rink.
Yep. My Canadian brethren.
God, I love that show. But then we go to a vignette of, if any man born with two hands, he has a fighting chance. James Ellsworth.
Milk it. He's milking it. Still milking it.
There's still a dollar in there somewhere.
Every nickel it's worth. Every wood nickel he can get out of it. He was in Memphis this past Sunday. He's pulling a Kaufman-esque gimmick.
Yeah, he's going to face the entire women's roster or something like that.
I feel I'm not a big fan of intergender matches. It was funny when Kaufman did it, but even then I didn't really care for it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a certain way about a person that I'm just going to wrestle females and you're a dude.
Right.
That's probably a topic for another podcast.
Right. There you go, Dave. Fantasy book some intergender matches for us someday. Camille versus Rolando.
I applaud him for still being in the business. Do what you got to do to make your dollar.
Jay says he thought Ellsworth was canceled, but he was being advertised.
I thought he had been too. I thought Ellsworth had been canceled. You mean canceled like cancel culture canceled? Because I thought that he had been too.
Oh.
Text messages, underage girls, that kind of thing, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to hide behind, because I forgot to put them on, my Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock glasses right now.
Uh-huh.
Now I hate you people because you people are poor.
That was his dog. Well, no, Jimmy does too.
This is my homage. I'm Hollywood Timmy Blaylock now.
There you go. After that, because I'm not how do you guys feel about James Ellsworth coming to Memphis and taking on the women's division? Nope.
Don't care. Hope he gets beat up and loses every match.
Dave?
I mean, he had his 15 minutes, and if he can stretch it out, more power to him. But I'd use whatever money they use to book outside talent to book somebody besides Ellsworth.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do a Andy Kaufman type gimmick, give it to one of your locals that doesn't have a following, and hopefully build that up somehow.
Yep.
Where he loses, or he wins, then he finally sees his error in going against females, and that, rather than do this, let's do a mixed tag, and that could be another championship that they could bring about, a mixed tag champion.
Yeah.
That way you feature more women. You feature more wrestlers altogether because it's a tag match.
Yeah.
So instead of one female a week, you may get 3 females on a show if you have a mixed tag match and a singles match. So it's win-win that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Sam is asking, didn't he pin AJ Styles? Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
A couple times, maybe? I don't know.
We then go to Dustin Starr with Mackenzie Morgan. Mackenzie says it wasn't DDT who attacked her backstage. It was a male, but she doesn't know who. The obvious is the Hollywood Clique, one of the guys from the Hollywood Clique. But I smell a swerve coming. No, I don't think it was Jimmy. I don't think it was.
No, of course it wasn't Jimmy.
It wasn't Jimmy Blaylock. Not unless she was holding a slice of pizza. But I smell a swerve. I honestly, I don't think it was somebody from the Hollywood Clique. I think it was somebody that needed to be a hero to get a championship shot that they got a week or so back. That's just me. They got on Team Wrestle Center and took her place. That's just me. That's the way I think of it. It was a good promo though. She's got the crowd behind her a lot. She's definitely became a fan favorite real quick. What did you think about it, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, like you, I don't know her. I thought she was pretty decent. Looks promising.
Yeah.
Dave?
Well, like you said, I mean, she got her point across, but it's stuff like this. I mean, I know you have a live crowd, but it's a show, and if somebody really isn't comfortable talking in front of a crowd, that's when you do pre-tapes, and you just do an insert coming back from one of their many breaks, which they could cut their breaks down by 1.
Boy, could they ever?
Yeah.
That, I mean, if you're going to do something, do a promo for the training center. And then earlier today, I caught up with so-and-so. Boom. Then you come out and you explain what what that interview was about, why it took place, and what may take place in the future. But it's one of these things. If you do pre-tapes, you can always start over or chop it up and get the main point. It's not, you're not standing there for 1 or 2 minutes to get across 30 seconds of information.
Yeah.
Yep. Well said.
But I mean, that's just what I would do.
And to J. Cal's point, yeah, those are the guys I was talking about, the apartment wrestling fans. That's what Ellsworth coming in and wrestling the female division feels like, is an apartment wrestling event.
Well, if he did get caught, because I for some reason I missed that news, but if he did get caught messaging underage girls and there was some nefarious activities, then fuck that guy. They shouldn't be booking him at all.
Yeah. And I remember hearing about it, but I can't remember specifics, and I don't remember hearing anything else about it after that. It was there and gone.
Right.
Yeah.
We then go to a match with Uncle Mikey versus Tim Bosby. This is a non-title match. Tim Bosby is the holder of the Memphis Internet Championship.
Yeah.
Bosby's path this far is reminiscent of Kurt Angle when he first hit the scene. Putting the internet title on him was a good move. Pads his resume. He's arrogant and has instant heat with the crowd. Uncle Mikey he comes out and is a goofball, but he displayed a nice set of technical skills, I felt, because that's Bosby's repertoire is technical because he's a high school wrestling star. Right. And it was a good match. I think this is the hardest that I've seen Bosby get pushed since he started. And it was good to see him get pushed like this and go up against somebody like Uncle Mikey, who's not necessarily taken seriously.
Right.
He's a goof, but he did a really good job of putting Bosby over. What did you think of it, Dave?
I did. Let's see. I have written down Uncle Mikey losing the match due to an outside distraction by the mystery wrestler. It was a good match. I didn't expect Uncle Mikey to win.
Yeah.
But it was a good, overall, it was a good match in highlighting your champion. Mm-hmm. And it furthers the storyline with the mystery wrestler showing up right outside of the wrestling ring.
Yeah. And the mystery wrestler is probably his cousin that's coming out to even the odds, because they've had main event Bradley Skimmerhorn. Or it could be his brother Briar Skimmerhorn coming out. We haven't seen him in a while either. But what did you think of it, Dave or Tim?
So, I didn't know either guy. I was impressed by Bosby. He's kind of fresh face. He's holding physically the worst looking title I've seen in active use in some time. My God, that thing's just the ugliest piece of crap I've ever seen. I mean, I'm not expecting a Millican, Van Alst, Reggie Parks title on Memphis Wrestling TV, but it looks like somebody just I don't know, Dad, can I borrow your belt, or I gotta stretch this thing out and paint it pink and black and write some crap on it. It's garbage. Anyway, it's garbage. It's just awful. You could hit me with that, and I would just go, yeah. Anyway, it's terrible.
Oh shit!
But Uncle Mikey, I thought when he came out, I'm like, well, this guy's gonna get squashed in 2 minutes flat, and he was good.
Yeah,
and I like that he was kind of a, I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but in the you don't think much is going to happen here. He's a little wonky upstairs, Eugene type from WWE. That he has that skill, and I thought it was a decent match, and took the champ to the limit, and was left looking strong, right?
Yeah.
By the way it ended. Yeah, it's a good match.
We then go to a segment with Aaron Roberts, the problem child, and just in case. Aaron states that not even Moose will stop him. I don't know what just in case is putting in Aaron's juice boxes, but I don't want any. He's definitely hyping this kid up if he thinks he's going to go up against Moose, but more power to him. I am looking forward to seeing what he does, though, beyond the storyline that is going to continue, because his and Zay Washington's storyline isn't over yet. My one complaint about it is it started out and Justin's talking about how you shaved his head on national television. The whole world saw it. No, I didn't. I saw the clippers not work, and then you go to a pair of scissors, little kid try and stop you, and then it cut. So I didn't get to see his head get shaved. But I thought it was a decent little segment. What did you think, Tim?
Honestly, did not play on my YouTube. I don't have any memory of it or record of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Unless I'm assuming I totally missed it somehow. So that
it was only like a little 30, 45 second spot. Did you catch it, Dave?
Yes, I did. It wasn't a bad promo, but it's one of these things of, like I've said before, if you do a pre-tape, you can always do it over.
Yeah.
They do 2 or 3 takes of it. You can then watch it back.
Yeah.
See what needs to be, or you can take the best of 2 or 3 of those and splice them together.
Yeah.
That you can digitally do that now, whereas back in the day they actually had to do actual film and would just shoot until they got it done.
Yep.
Now, I mean, if they have a hard time putting something together for 30 or 45 seconds, do one take of 15 seconds where you stop, you have a natural pause, then you start the next thing. Then you go in and just do some quick editing to throw it together. Or if it's live, do short 15 to 20 second bursts, but put post-production wise, have some music behind it or crowd noise to fill in that kind of stuff. Where if he's saying something and then he pauses for 5 seconds, have some people cheering or booing, or you can, the camera's on him, not the crowd. So you don't know what's actually going on besides what you're seeing and hearing. So you can create it for them. It wasn't bad, but I mean, there's always room for improvement, but they're on the right path.
Yeah. We then go to a segment with Jimmy Blaylock and the Hollywood Clique and Dustin Starr. Jimmy has his dog Vegas with him, and she doesn't like poor people. All the fans in Memphis are poor people, and Dustin as well is a poor person. Van Vicious is going to win the Grind City Rumble. No, he's not. According to Jimmy Blaylock, and says some unkind words about K-Tumor. This brings out K-Tumor, the master of Fat Jitsu. Show enough. He says, I'm the meanest, I'm the hungriest, and I'm the baddest mofo low down on this town. And Jimmy Blaylock knows this. There's 6 of you, and I like those odds. Get in the ring. Jimmy then gets Colton Cage to go in and handle this. Cage is a decent shitbird heel. The match wasn't really a match. It did what it was supposed to do in propping up the power of K-Tumor. I probably would have had him no-sell a little bit longer.
Right.
And then ended in a quick but brutal fashion. But again, it for me, it did what it was supposed to do, just like with the Justin Cole match. You know, it got him over. It showed that he's a powerhouse. What did you think of it, Dave?
I wrote down the challenge. K Toomer is just like, I don't care who you guys are. Let's get in the ring. It's whoop ass time.
Yep.
That it's no nonsense. It furthered the story. Plus, I mean, it's storyline wise, it's showing no fear.
Yeah. Yep.
It's I mean, I've watched Memphis Wrestling off and on, and I mean, K Toomer is one of their stronger athletes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's size wise, he can talk, he can go in the ring. And the story of him going up against the Click.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it's interchanging. Okay, let's put wrestler 1 in, let's put wrestler 2, that it's an ongoing story that is just building until it finally hits its destination, and he's then done with it and he moves on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it tells a story, and it's not just, oh, this wrestler hates this wrestler. It's one against many.
Yep. Yep. And that's and he's my pick to win the Grind City Rumble this year.
Oh, yeah.
I flat they've been pushing him for the past year, and he is my favorite Memphis wrestler. And like you said, Dave, I think they bill him at 397 pounds.
Ooh. He is just a big boy.
And he can go. He's agile like Rikishi was. You know, you don't expect a man that size to hit a flip in the ring, and he does. Yep.
First time I saw him, all I could think was he's almost like Jacob Fatu. He's a bigger guy, but he does some flips and some just holy crap shit that you're like, you would never expect from a man his size.
Yeah. And his talking on the mic, I mean, he's brutal on the mic. He really is. What did you think about it, Tim?
I got to take these off first because number one, they're ridiculous. But number two, they're killing my eyes right now. They're killing me. So my homage to Jimmy Blaylock is over. But also because K Toomer is the best personality in Memphis wrestling, at least that I've seen. And like he was good for this like segment when he was talking. I saw that. I put that up in our Discord, like the master of Fat Jitsu is fire.
Yep.
Like what he just wow, he's on a level above.
Yeah.
He's a lead as a talker, and I thought it was great. It was worth the episode just to tune in and see this segment and see this guy and kind of think, I wonder if he's going to come out of here and, you know, maybe go up somewhere else. Like he's an NWA type.
Yeah.
He could go to MLW. He could go anywhere.
He'd be a good fit in Impact, I feel. I think Impact would be a really good fit for him right now. If he was to leave Memphis, I think that he would slide right into Impact and fit right in there like a well-placed cog.
Yeah.
You know, with what they've got going on.
And he's going to win the Grind City Rumble.
Yeah.
And but no, he's not, because Van Vicious is going to win.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
But I grew up with guys like K Toomer. You know, that I don't care how many of you there are. You know, and I love that stuff.
I actually thought he was inviting all 5 or 6 of them into the ring.
I was so hoping that was going to happen, and it didn't. I'm glad it didn't, because we got to see what we got to see him be a powerhouse. But I think had he gotten in there and had they got the 2 Secret Service guys in there and he just takes them out real quick and then leave Colton Cage standing there in the middle, and then Colton gets in some offense, and then he just ends him.
I thought Colton Cage played his part really well.
Perfectly.
He's got a douchebag name and a douchebag personality. And it was like, you're like, Colton, go and take care of this problem. And he was like, me? You want me to go? Oh, why not me? Of course it can be me. It's like, almost like, hey, do some jumping jacks and then go get my ass handed to me by K-Tuber, right?
That's why I called him a shitbird heel, because he's that little bird that'll shit on you and then take off and come back the next day and shit on you again. And
that's right. He reminded me of who am I thinking of from the Wild Cards?
Royce Isaacs.
Royce Isaacs. He reminded me of Royce, like a young, maybe 10 years younger than Royce Isaacs. Like a very young Royce Isaacs in that kind of personality.
Yeah. And that was another guy that I was big on that I wish had stayed with the NWA, but has gone on to, and he in New Japan Strong now?
I don't know. Is there still a New Japan Strong? I thought
he's
that
with
was
Team
going
Filthy,
away.
Isn't he?
Oh,
I believe he's with Team Filthy now.
Huh.
But yeah, that was one. He was a guy that I really got into in the NWA whenever they came out.
I say this every time I talk about him. He looks like he should be tying movie stars, like movie starlets from the 30s, into railroad tracks, with a top hat. Like,
yep, Snidely Whiplash.
Snidely Whiplash, yeah.
Yep.
Jay says, I think about K-Tumor. It sounds like Championship Wrestling should bring him in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really liked him, Jay. It was good.
We then go to a segment with the Genetic Nightmare. And again, this is another one of his self-produced vignettes. This time, the last time that he was coming out with these, he was doing them from jail cells. And this time it looks like he's in back alley or in between two buildings or something. But just another one that they've got that is firing on all cylinders on the mic. Great talker on the mic. Great in the ring. He's not the biggest guy as far as height, but cut up like stone. Looks like $1 million, And just any time that he talks, I enjoy listening to him. He is a great heel. He has good, solid delivery. You can tell he sat down and thought about what he's going to say. What did you think of it, Dave?
I thought it was a very good promo. The video, I like seeing highlight videos like that where the wrestler is more comfortable. They're in their own surrounding.
Yep.
And it almost gives them a chance to be more ballsy because they're comfortable.
Yep.
They don't have to deal with a crowd. They don't have to deal with somebody holding a mic. They're just talking to the camera and they're being themselves. And like you said, I mean, if he had a couple more inches on him height-wise, he'd be a total package.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is in very, very good condition. He can wrestle. He can talk. And I mean, he's probably a 3 out of 5 tool player.
Yeah.
That you don't always have to be a 5 tool player. But I mean, if you can get by on the others, if you have at least 2 to 3 strong points out of those 5, you can work through the others.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's not like he's going against who is he, the 7-foot tall guy, the Undertaker guy.
Big Ben Bishop.
Yeah.
6'12".
But I mean, it's one of those things that you either like you have the height, you have the you can talk, you can wrestle. Well, it's better if you can do all three, but we can get by on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're, it's better to be silent and violent than talk and show you're just a fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I mean, when Anthony talks, there's belief there.
Yeah.
He's not pulling any punches. He's talking, he's speaking his mind, and I'm like, oh yeah, I believe you could whip his ass right here and right now, but let's see it in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. And
but,
that's
he's been a highlight. I've seen him off and on Memphis, but I mean he's been a highlight. I mean he can do just about anything that they ask of him to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you brought out that realism and being in their own surroundings and everything. And that's another thing that I like about him, because he does come across as that I could whip your ass. I will look at you, I will tell you I can whoop your ass, and then I will whoop your ass. And that he doesn't have to be 6 foot tall to be able to do that. He doesn't have to be 6'3", 275 pounds. He's 5'9", 5'10", but he's still jacked. So and he has that 1,000-yard stare. What did you think about it, Tim? Did he bring realism to it for you?
Well, now for the Republican response. Yeah, look, he's got the look, he's got the ability, but a couple of things. One is I thought he was incredibly hampered by the cheesy promo like environment that he was in. When you send a guy down a back alley, and you need to put him in that kind of environment that, to tell me that he's Memphis's equivalent to Red Dog Rodney Mack. It's cheesy, and I thought it made him less than what he is just on his own. You could have just put him in a regular room or a ring rather than just like, I'm from the streets. Okay, I mean, come on. Also, it like what it did, the way that it was filmed and the locations that it was in and the way he looked. Have you guys ever seen that video, that meme where that guy puts the egg in his bicep and he goes, I'm built different, and he crushes it, and then they show like an old woman or a little girl going, that's what it reminded me of. And lastly, look, this guy will kill me if he ever meets me. Don't get me wrong. But the last part of the promos was he's like in the gym and he's like got the belt on the bar, or the belt is on the bench and it's watching him kind of, right? Or like it's hanging off as he's
off
like,
of his weight belt as he's doing.
I was sitting there going like, is this going to be like he's at dinner across from the belt, a candlelight? Well, like they show him like turning over on the bed and it'll be there as he's talking to it under the silk sheets. Like
on camera talking to his gun.
It was just, I thought the promo environment and the way it was shot took away from the natural stuff you're talking about. So I wasn't a fan. And look, this guy is clearly a genetic freak, and I'm sure he's amazing, but I'll have to see more than this to have any kind of shine from this guy.
I love the honesty. I love it. Oh man. And I often think about that stuff whenever I talk shit about Crimweather. If this guy ever sees me, what in the hell is he going to say to me?
Oh,
or
yeah.
has he even seen some of the shit that I've said?
Willie will be there.
And then I think about it and I'm like, fuck it. If he says something to me, who the fuck is he?
Yeah.
I'll whoop his ass. I probably won't, because he was like fucking special forces or something.
Yeah, he's like airborne ranger or something. Yeah.
I'm gonna back my words up, damn it.
Yeah.
I will look at him eye to eye and be like, I don't like you, dude.
You know what'll happen? He'll say, "Well, okay, great.
Yeah,
Thanks
probably
for coming out and supporting the NWA."
Well, that's like your opinion, man. But thanks for supporting.
Yeah.
You're still putting food on my table, so whatever.
We're all going to be huddled around with Willie, just like looking in every direction in a circle as we move through an NWA convention.
Hey, this is the call. As soon as you see tires, caw, 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 caw. He'll never know. He'll never know. That'll be the signal to Spartan Dome around Willie.
That's right.
Protect Bowen.
300. Hilarious. What was next? I don't even remember what was next.
Next, we had the main event tag title match between with Ray Sanders and Derek the King versus the Posse. This match ended the way I knew it was going to. The Posse won by disqualification. They've had a death grip on these belts since they won them back from Memphis Muscle. It was a good match. I felt that Derek the King and Ray came out looking strong. My one complaint is I hate the Posse's outfit. It looks like Beetlejuice's hand-me-downs. I really dig the shoulder pads like that. I was always a big fan of the Road Warriors with the spiked out shoulder pads, and spikes are a big part of punk culture and shit. But I hate their ring gear. It looks like they wallered in on the floor in the garage, and then we're like, let's go be wrestlers.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it, Tim?
So like that ring gear, like they they look kind of like
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah, exactly. Like old timey prisoners, like on the chain gang trying to run away, or like the house falls on the Wicked Witch and those like legs that kind of roll. Terrible ring gear.
Terrible.
You mentioned them a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, these guys are just going to run over in this match and whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, they must be Road Warrior like, and they are.
Yeah. But in a I've never seen a sandbag, let alone a 5-pound dumbbell type of Road Warrior.
Yeah. It's like someone told me about the Road Warriors once, and this is my interpretation.
You can lift 100 pounds with your hand. I can lift 100 Twinkies.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. They're not terrible. They are dominant. The ring gear is awful. The face paint on, what the hell is his name? I think it's the worst name. Simon.
Little Chris had the skull, and Simon has the little streaky things.
Okay, so you had, and I'm just making a comparison here, and it's not fair, but I'm going to make it anyway because we're having a good time. You had Hawk, and you had Animal, and on the other side, here's Little Chris and Simon. Come on, guys. Come on. Even the NWA has Carnage and Damage, right? And I bet that they came up with that in 5 minutes.
Probably.
I mean, come on. What's your wrestler name? I'm Simon. Anyway, I liked the match. I thought it was good. I liked Ray. He looked at first. I'm like, oh, he's terribly undersized and thin, and that the kid can move.
Yeah,
and so can King.
Derek the King. Yeah,
he looks like he probably isn't going to move as well as he does, and he does.
He does. Yeah, he's one of the trainers at the Wrestle Center.
Okay,
as
great.
well. And I believe, and I may be wrong here, but I know that Simon and especially Little Chris do help with the booking.
Okay.
They do have a really good mind for the business, and a lot of their matches are again, do look ridiculous coming out there, but they do put on a good match and tell a good story in the ring.
The difference, it's funny because their ups and downs in Memphis are different than the NWA's. Like the NWA usually has a good arena, like a good studio.
Yeah.
They've got a bad one. They've got good booking, despite all the jokes that we're making. They've got good booking.
Yeah.
NWA,
Yeah.
Right. I don't just mean currently. And like the talent level, I think in Memphis is seems a little lower, but like it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I'm totally okay with that. But at the same time, like I like their product. They're like, here's our product. This is what we got. And it's right at this level. And they're not saying it's anything like, oh my God, it's the world killers who are here that they're going to, there's nothing like that. But they probably should improve things like the outfits on these guys. Jeez Louise. Like,
and I think in a lot of ways, and I don't mean this disparaging or anything, but in a lot of ways, Memphis to me is a lot like a AAA ball league or a Division 2 or 3 college.
Yeah.
They're working with what they've got, and this is just their second year now.
And they've done how many episodes now? They said
this was 90. The one that we're commenting on now is 99.
Yeah, and that's something.
Yeah, and when they started, they were in parking lots, literally in parking lots. So to see where they started, whenever I first started watching them back before I even moved out here to Colorado, they went live and started doing live, got into the Wrestle Center right before I moved out here. Or no, it was right after I moved out here. I think they started in there in May of last year.
Well, I don't know Dave Marquez, but from anything other than the body of his work, and what he's accomplished in wrestling, and if Dave Marquez is investing with them and partnering with them as he is, and he believes in them, then you can bet that there's something there.
Oh yeah. Dave, what did you think about it?
I thought it was a good match overall, but like you said, I mean, the posse, none of it really fits. The names don't fit. The team name doesn't fit. Their style doesn't fit. I mean, I know they can talk, but them being just the way they are, I mean, if they would pick a serious way of, we're going to dress all in black, or we're going to do this, or we're going to have matching makeup, or we're not going to have makeup, we'll come out with masks on, then we'll take the masks off and wrestle. This is something I could see, like if they could have a manager, like, I mean, if you would put like somebody like Father James Mitchell, if they're supposed to be the bad, evil type,
okay,
have him come out, do maybe 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds at most of talking. These are my guys, blah, blah, blah. In the ring, guys, let's go.
Yeah.
That more or less, I mean, they just need either a reset or just a dramatic change,
a refresh.
A refresh that more or less like I mean, short storyline. You could say in the back, somebody similar to a Father James Mitchell type shows up. Hey guys, I'd like to be your manager. Can we talk? He goes in and he puts them under. He puts them under his spell. More or less, they come out. They're doing a short interview. Their manager type goes, I'm so-and-so. This is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. Well, no, that's little Chris and Simon. No, they used to be that. they're now known as whatever and whatever. You give them new names, a new style, and just like Tim said, a refresh.
Yeah.
They're the same wrestlers, but in their mind they've changed.
Yep.
And since you said his name, Memphis Wrestling can have Father James Mitchell. Here we go.
Maybe they can have I don't know, wrestling and karaoke night.
Yeah.
Hey, I do want to. I want to go see a Father James Mitchell Lounge act.
Yeah.
I really do. I am I don't know about you guys, and I was born as they were they were going out of style, but I'm a huge lounge act fan. Since the Blues Brothers, the scene in the Blues Brothers where they go in there and he's just lounge acting away. I love lounge acts. I want to see him in his lounge act so bad.
That's awesome.
There's just something nice about a lounge act. Have you guys ever heard of Richard Cheese?
Richard Cheese, yes.
No.
You know who I'm talking about, Dave.
Oh yeah.
He takes very popular songs and does them lounge act style.
Imagine. Oh, I hit the floor when he's doing Rage Against the Machine, and you just
Lounge Against the Machine, apparently.
Yep.
And
just playing, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, that's Rage Against the Machine. Oh my God, he's singing. And it was one of those things that it got over, and he just kept making album after album after CD after.
Wow. I'm going to listen to it after. Is it like Pat Boone when he was doing Metallica and do you remember he do Enter Sandman?
He does a cover of "Rape Me" by Nirvana. Rape me. It is lounge act. He takes popular songs and just lounge acts them, and it is genius. I love his entire body of work. I celebrate his catalog like people celebrate Michael Bolton's catalog. You know.
Wow, he's got quite the appearance.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Discography.
Yeah. Anyway. Was that it for Memphis? I think it was, right?
Yes, that was it. That was all for Memphis. And then we had a highlight show from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. It was a year in review. It was a journey of the belts, you could say. We got to see Jordan Clearwater get the belt, and then the challengers that he went up against, from Colt Cabana to Chris Masters and Willie Mack, then to the inevitable title change that took place not too long ago, where Danny Limelight, our friend of the podcast of the Alliance, Danny Limelight took that belt off of him, and in a very dramatic way and fashion. And a nice year, basically, story build up to Danny going after and getting that belt. What did you think? What did you think about that segment, Dave?
I actually liked it. I mean, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood has always done very good at highlight shows. Dave knows how to put them together and show just enough so you get the story. It's not like, oh, let's watch 7 minutes of this match. No, let's watch 1.5 to 2 minutes and do highlights of that match. Then jump to, okay, who was the highlight of Jordan Clearwater? Here's when Prince Nana took control. Here's when he went against so-and-so, highlights. Here's when he went against so-and-so, defended the belt. Highlights, highlights, highlights. Here's when he lost it. Okay? When you look at something like that, I mean, it's the year in review, but it's the best of, and it's highlighting the actual wrestler.
Yeah.
It may not be all about the championship, but I mean, you look at Jordan Clearwater. The Jordan we see on NWA is totally different. He's the same guy, but I don't think he has the confidence that is shown. He has the confidence when he wrestles, but he's not being as sneaky because he doesn't have somebody out there basically taking care of him like Prince Nana.
Yeah.
That when you look at it, I mean, going against Adonis, Chris Masters doesn't need to win, but it's a name, and he has history in California. He has history with Dave, so it's only natural that I'd like to see that switched over into the NWA.
Yeah.
Adonis doesn't need to go after the TV belt, but he could be like, well, if I get the TV belt and I'm on TV all the time, better chance for me. Boom. But I mean, I actually went back and watched the Willie Mack, that all the guys that Jordan has gone against, Cabana, Carlito, all those guys, it's made him a better wrestler.
Yeah.
That all the guys he's wrestled, he's had to wrestle up to them. They've lowered it down just a bit, but they still kept a majority of their momentum going.
Yeah. Yeah.
They may not have been going 100%, but they didn't go under 80.
Right.
They were in that top 20% going all the time. It helped build the wrestler and build the championship. So when Danny, a wrestler from Hollywood, won the belt, it meant something.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward to Danny defending that belt this year.
Yeah. And Tim, we talk about they brought in the likes of Carlito and Willie Mack and Chris Masters to face Jordan during this title reign that he had. Do you think that that's something that the NWA should be doing to build up their current champion and Tyrus? He is a name, I know, but I've always enjoyed whenever they bring in an outsider to challenge for the title and then put over their guy. It's a good way to build that person up. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel the same way, especially when it's someone who needs building, right?
Yeah.
Like they did it for Jordan Clearwater, whose exposure, probably largest exposure at the time, was in the NWA, where he wasn't very much before he won that belt. I like who they brought in. They seem credible, right? They seem like good contenders. They elevated Jordan just by being there. And the decisions they make probably should be example for the NWA and just about anywhere else that is in that kind of situation where they can benefit from bringing people in. What was I going to say? One thing I don't get about championship wrestling from Hollywood overall, Jay has explained to me why their shows are on the Memphis page. They got 10,000 subscribers to their own page. Not a video up in probably 2 years.
Yep.
If you go to the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood website, hasn't been updated since let me see, August of what year was it?
2019, 2020, I want to say.
Well, 2022. They did do a Primetime Live is their last thing. Their super card on August 21st from the Commerce. It's got Jordan Clearwater with the belt, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, why wouldn't you just keep it all updated? And I don't know.
Yeah, and that's something that I've scratched my head about, because all of their highlight clips and everything do go over to the Memphis channel, but nothing is posted on the Hollywood or the Wrestling Network channels. And that is one part of it that I don't understand either, is why they're not updating any of that. But that's the boss has a little more insight into the inner workings of what goes on in Hollywood. Maybe it's just not something that Dave's too big on at the moment. Maybe he's just more focused on helping Memphis get over and just
I think that's it, right? He's giving them the rub, so to speak. But I would still keep my own webpage.
Yeah. I would still I would definitely be still loading up my clips and my shows to my own channel as well.
One thing I do know, though, is whatever the answer is, it would make me go, oh, I get it. Because I'm sure that Dave Marquez has a good reason.
Yeah. He doesn't he doesn't do anything without a lot of thought behind it. That's why the product's as good as it is.
Right.
You look like I said at the beginning, we saw basically a year-long story, slow burn buildup of Danny slowly making his name more prominent and getting bigger and bigger in the UWN, to where he finally topped off the year by taking their world title.
Right.
And the crowd went apeshit.
Yep.
He was breaking tables and all of that, but it was that story. The people got invested. They had a long amount of time to get into that, and that's what keeps me coming back every week.
And that's the thing. If you're one of the people watching us right now, and there's a bunch, and you're like, okay, when are they going to get back to the NWA? Look, it's going to be a couple weeks before the NWA is going to give us some wrestling. Take this opportunity to go to the Memphis website, Memphis Wrestling YouTube page, and if you want the better quality of the two, it's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. They are better production than the NWA, better storytelling by miles in the NWA, and some really good talent, like the names that we were watching. You guys were just saying, like Clearwater, Mac, Carlito, Danny Limelight, who I knew was good, and then I saw this match again and was reminded about how awesome Danny Limelight actually is.
Just his ring psychology is insane. That match that him and Clearwater had was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was such a good match.
And they're in the same, I guess, for whatever reason, in the same situation where before an event that is going to kick off their season, right? They are in a 2-week period before they air the Red Carpet Rumble.
Yep.
And what they chose to do was a best of show that showed you Jordan Clearwater's rise to the UWN World Championship, Reno Scum's rise to the UWN third one, UWN World Tag Team Championship.
Yep.
And why am I blanking?
The Modern Spartan, Jordan Cruz.
Thank you.
Getting the Heritage Championship.
Right. And so they took their champions and said, here's how they got here. This was their story for 3 different titles. And they're coming back next week with more to tell you how we're going into the Rumble, so that it is the perfect time, not only for like, a regular fan like you, but for guys like me to jump on and go, okay, this is This is what I want to see every week, and I really dig it. I thought the overall package was great.
Yeah.
And like Memphis was like, yeah, they're like a AA ball club, and UWN's like a AAA, like the NWA, but they do so many things better.
Yep. And
You know?
that's and to extend on your point, not just Memphis or Hollywood, MLW, OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, Dog, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. There is so much wrestling that is available for free through multiple different platforms to check out. Take this time if you haven't watched any of those. Take this time while the NWA's out and check all that out.
Now's the time.
Now is the time, because you're going. I guarantee you're going to find something that you like.
Right.
That will become part of your regular viewing schedule. That's how I got turned on to Hollywood and Memphis, because NWA went vacant for a week or something, and I wanted wrestling. I'm a wrestling fan. That's right. What I like. We've been talking about it for 2 hours and 6 minutes now.
Yep.
I like what I like, and I like to watch wrestling. I don't like all of it, and it not everything's for everyone, but there's more out there for everybody than just the NWA, and now is the time to check them out.
And if you're a belt guy, just as an aside, if you're really niche like me and really like belts, go look at the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Heritage Championship. Go and see who is on the belt. Like right on the main plate. It is an impressive thing to behold. It's a really nice title.
Dave Marquez had it. All of their belts are just. I love all their belts.
Dave Marquez's belts are always great. I'm NWA to the core for belts, but the UWN World Title,
yeah,
that's a thing of beauty. So,
Dave, what did you think about Hollywood show?
I like the production a lot better than the NWA. It has a cleaner feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's the lighting or just the ambiance. It just, I'm not sure really how to say it, but I mean the feeling of it. It just it has a slicker presentation.
Yeah,
it's not like you're in a studio. You are, but you aren't.
Yeah.
Whereas NWA does studio wrestling and makes it look like a studio. They hide enough just to hide behind the scenes, but it's still a studio. Yep. Whereas Hollywood and some of the other wrestling that Dave has done, he presents it as a show.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Yep.
It's wrestling, but it's the wrestlers just make the show, but what the surroundings help make the show even more of a show, more of entertainment. It is wrestling, but it's the best of wrestling and the best of entertainment just thrown together.
Yeah.
Jake out says David knows how to make TV. Nobody in the NWA knows how to do that.
And that again, that goes to Dave's point. You know, it's a polished stone. You know, even though they're at the Improv in Irvine, and you know, you've got people sitting at booth tables.
Yeah,
it feels natural. The way that he frames it and shoots it and everything, it works for that venue. And he knows, like Jay said, he knows how to shoot a TV show. You know, it just
I'd be willing to bet that the people in the NWA who like the things that they do right and well are because of the people who have learned at the knee and elbow of Dave Marquez.
yeah.
I feel like I'm really shilling for Dave Marquez. I am not on his payroll. We have never met. I do not work for him, but
Well-
I do respect what he did with the NWA and what he does with the UWN.
He could pay me in nachos and hot dogs, and I'd work for him.
There you go.
But hell, I'd work for anybody for nachos and hot dogs.
They're pretty good nachos and hot dogs. The Heritage Championship about to get a huge upgraded new look. The article I just put in the chat kind of speaks to that. I think it was a year ago, though, about how it's going to become sort of a nationally wide title for the UWN.
Good.
So that's good. That's interesting. All right. Are we good? You want to talk any more? All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, man. That was fun.
Yeah,
Maybe we
I
should do
enjoyed
this
it.
more regularly. So let's go. I have been forgetting to do this every time we go. Where are my videos? Here it is. Let's go over and do some fantasy booking with Dave Scooby. That is so much fun.
I made that.
You did make that.
Very cool.
In the segment we call, and I'll take the UWN banner off, but in the I respect you, Booker Man. If the teams, Dave asked the question if the teams are being used in the NWA storylines, does having the outside teams in the Crockett Cup help or hurt the NWA? And we talked in the before. I one night was bored. My wife was away, and I made up 16 teams I'd like to see into the Crockett Cup, and I put 7 of them. I think one was the Briscoes. Ooh. Anyway, just realized that. And you guys went no country gentlemen, no spectaculars, and I was like, I stand by my decision.
I stand by my decisions, damn it.
Yeah, but even if they were in there, that would have been 9, maybe 10, which would have left 6 teams to be formed by people who aren't teams, or give opportunities for guys like we have talked about on the show. I always want to say 4 minutes of heat, Midnight Heat, Beef Candy, Reno Scum. Anyway, these type of teams to and I'm going to say it FTR because they're just going to sit out their contract.
Yep.
To come in and so it is interesting, but if they're not being used in the NWA storylines, does it make sense to have them? Do they hurt or help the NWA by being in the Crockett Cup, Dave?
Well, it can help.
I don't know. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, it can help if done correctly, because the Crockett Cup is just that. It's a cup. You don't defend it. We're the winners of the NWA 2022 Crockett Cup. I've never known them to be able to put it up for a challenge. It's something that's symbolic. It's Jim Crockett Promotions from the 80s. It was used to highlight teams, put teams together. But if you bring outside teams into the NWA, unless you use them in a good storyline, I don't think it helps. Granted, the Briscoes were at the tapings after Crockett Cup. They had a couple matches, but they weren't signed long term.
Right.
Where could you imagine the Briscoes and La Rebellion going to battle at Hard Times? Yeah. That would have been, it's one of those what if. The Crockett Cup is something to highlight teams, to either build new teams, but the last couple Crockett Cups that they've had, I don't think they've really, I mean, they've created some teams, but not in the long run. All those teams have broken up.
Right.
Commonwealth Connection, they're broken up. They're gone. I don't see Doug Williams coming back due to the fact that he was brought in with Nick's approval. Davey Boy Smith was brought in. He's now doing MLW and he's doing traveling. He's doing dungeon wrestling up in Calgary.
Right.
But it's one of these things of Crockett Cup. I mean, they could do it this year. If they do, I'd put it off until May. But if you're looking at possibly getting FTR in it, I'd wait till next year to do it. Like you said, Tim, you have 5 or 6 teams that you would pull, but you could, from the NWA, you can bump it up to probably 9 or 10 and then have to fill in the rest with outside teams. But, I mean, nothing against it. I mean, you have Hawks Airy, the Fixers, Blunt Force Trauma, La Rebellion, your champions, Country Gentlemen, and that's about it. I'd say those are the above 50.
Right.
Then you have Cardona's, which they're sort of interchangeable. Mike Knox and whoever's available. Yeah. Ill Begotten. They're good wrestlers, but they're not a upper echelon.
Right.
You have the Spectaculars, which they've done nothing with. They've made a joke of. Miserably Faithful. You have Sal and Gags. If I would go Miserably Faithful, I'd go the opposite. Keep those guys out. They were in it last year. Hey, Judias, you want to do some tag team wrestling? Max is your partner. Imagine that.
That'd be great. Yeah, they were on my list together.
I mean, death and destruction right there.
Right.
I mean, you have Jax Dane. He's really doing nothing. You have Blake Bulletproof Troop.
Yep.
Get them together. Yeah. You have, I mean, they're together under Silvio.
Right.
So why not put them together? I mean, Jax can do the heavy lifting. Troop can jump in, do some moves here and there, some strikes, tag, power comes in.
Right.
I mean, if you need teams, I mean, you can always go. I'd hate to say, let's bring in the Mortons, but they've wrestled, and it's a name that if you beat them, it sort of ups your stature a little because you did beat a champion and a very well-known wrestler tag team. Control your narrative. It's more than EC3. You could throw 2 or 3 guys together and do a Freebirds CYN team. Control your narrative, something like that.
Right.
I mean, you have guys that, I mean, Pope and JTG wrestled together. It was good, but it didn't look like it was a tag team made for the future.
Right.
You could do Mims with JTG, the Pope, or, I mean, just finding 2 people that aren't currently doing anything. Imagine Rhett Titus and Mims. You have Mims with the strength and Titus with all the tech. That he's a technical wrestler. He can get down and dirty if need be. But, I mean, those 2 as a tag team, they're not doing anything with him now. Why not? I mean, a lot of tag teams that have been thrown together in the past were just because we have these two wrestlers and they aren't doing anything. Let's put them together and magic happens. So it's one of these things that they just need to decide 16 teams is the best unless they want to do the top 8 and just do one night of the Crockett Cup, and then the second night is Crockett Cup featuring Parade of Champions, and all your championship belts are defended.
Right.
Or my other thought was the Crockett Cup winners are automatically the first in line for the U.S. titles. That whoever your U.S. tag team is, they go for those. If they win, that's cool. Then they can defend those belts and then go after the other tag team. That Crockett Cup was a tag team showing, that it was made for the tag teams in the NWA back in the mid 80s. Now, the only thing is Jim Crockett Promotions is now in existence again.
Right.
That they were brought back for the Ric Flair retirement match. It was brought back. Conrad Thompson and David Cornette were 50-50. The day after the last match,
David
Conrad gave up his 50%. So Jim Crockett Promotions exists with David Crockett. Now, if he's planning on doing anything, does that take the Crockett Cup out of the picture for the NWA? Or do they work together, being that he was at Crockett Cup 22?
So, yeah.
It's one of these things of, you either go with a Crockett Cup 23, I'd cut it down to 8 teams and just do the first night, do that, and then the second night be a night of champions for the NWA. If they push it to 2024, they can build up some teams. My idea being that if it's not Crockett, if Crockett decides to do something on his own, why not do something in honor of Jay Briscoe?
Right. Yeah.
And just have a cup, and it's battle for the Briscoe, and that's the Briscoe Cup.
So there's kind of precedent for this in a way. Not that matters in pro wrestling, because you can just make up whatever you want at any time. But there is a Crockett Foundation Cup. So the Crockett Cup ran 85, 86, 87, and then that was it. And there were 16 teams, and 14 teams in 87. And they got progressively worse. And the events. Mm-hmm. I think DKM talked about this last time we mentioned the Crockett Cup. It's just they weren't very good to go DKM, like they weren't. But the nostalgia was amazing, and I love tag team wrestling more than any other wrestling. But when it stopped, at some point, the Jim Crockett Foundation kept it going with the Jim Crockett Foundation Cup. And there is, I'll send you guys a link, but there are some teams that have won it. Like in the last one, I know the Old School Empire entered into that one, and there was a British team that won it. You've never heard of them before. No one's heard of but it did have Mang and the Warlord in it, and Ricky Morton, and I don't know who his partner was, but it's one of those kind of things. So yeah, there is variations of it. You could do a different deal if Crockett takes the cup. I'm assuming that Billy owns it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. One of the things that drew me to the Crockett Cup as a kid, I loved the Crockett Cup, was like in '86, you had teams from JCP and the UWF, and there was no internet, and I didn't know that they one had bought the other, and but they also had All Japan and like Central States Wrestling, I think, had one or two people in there. So like your off tag teams were like Giant Baba and Tiger Mask, right?
Yeah.
But later on in matches to follow, you had teams like I'm trying to remember. Al Perez and Larry Zbyszko were a tag team, or the Twin Devils. They really had to stretch to get tag teams. I think 16 is good. But anyway, it was that outside influence, like outside tag teams coming in, that made me interested in the Crockett Cup. Like I could see people from other places, and for me, it didn't have to be storyline based back then. But maybe things have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will be happy if there is a Crockett Cup this year. I think FTR's got to go in it this year, because if I heard Dax Harwood say that whatever the next thing they do is the last thing that they're going to do. So, and they're not locked up anywhere by the time this rolls around. Their contract runs out with AEW, and they've asked to sit on the sidelines until it does. So I would think that Triple H is going to be counting down the days and then calling and saying, please forgive us. We won't let Vince bother you. No one will book you but like me and you guys. And please come back, and here's a truckload of money. And I got to assume that they would end up there. But so maybe this is the year for them. And if they end up as an outside team in the Crockett Cup, they got to win it.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah. Awesome. I was going to mention something about Billy Corgan saying the value of the interest in the NWA right now is 500% more than it was a year ago. Let's maybe let Jay talk about that tomorrow night, because we can't be trusted with no content. It's 2.5 hours, no NWA content, no actual matches, and we went 2.5 hours, probably our longest show. There was no NWA show. This is telling. We don't learn. It's funny.
But for Billy to say something, if that was actually the case, you'd be on something other than YouTube, bro. Just saying.
Ooh.
I'm just,
You're not wrong.
And that's not a knock against YouTube or anything.
Yeah.
It is a great platform. But if the interest had increased by 500% over the past year, you'd already be on something other than YouTube, bro.
Yeah.
Quit blowing smoke up your own ass.
Yeah. Which is what the goal is. And, he's saying like there's interest, but interest means, to me, someone's prepared to write a check.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
And instead you're saying this to make people think that there's that kind of interest in it, to drum up interest.
Right.
Another carny trick from him. The man is a carny through and through, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this is the greatest podcast of all time. There are thousands of people watching us right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is. Fake
we're
it till you
huge in
make it,
India.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a matter of time before SiriusXM calls and says, hey, we need what you've got.
Hey, look, I just keep this on the hush-hush. We're not going to tell the crowd about it since we're backstage at the moment. Howard Stern is worried that we're going to take his slot, okay?
Listen, he's old. It's time for him to go. He's got, 10 years on me, maybe? I don't think he's that old. Let's get out of here, guys. What do you say?
Yeah.
Where can we find you guys on the socials? Oh, there she is. How about you? You go first, Dave.
You can find me Twitter and Instagram at Dave Scooby. And if you're on the Discord, feel free to jump on and you can message me some ideas for fantasy booking. I'm not sure what we'll do next week. But I don't know. Not having wrestling is making people anxious, and I'm not sure if the NWA did it on purpose to make people want to watch the live Power. I will be there live. So if you're on the Discord,
going.
Yep. I got
to stop the wedding.
You've got to stop the wedding.
I got to stop the wedding. Stop. I'm making it into a business trip. Got some business in Nashville, a couple hours away. So I'll just make it into a short 2-day business trip. But I do know not having wrestling to watch from the NWA. I mean, I can watch other wrestling, and I do watch other wrestling, but it's making me anxious. And I don't know if NWA did it on purpose, doing the NWA Presents interview type thing. Would have been great as extras on Fight, but who knows? I mean, I'm itching to watch some NWA wrestling.
Man, I thought about going to that, and then I realized this is some time ago that it was on a Tuesday night. I'm like,
yep.
How am I going to justify that without some significant, vacation time cut out of my tiny amount?
Yep.
What about you, Jeremy? Where can they find you?
You can find me over at Twitter at HJWOTS. That's where I am primarily. If I'm not there, I'm on the couch with this little lady right here.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Watching wrestling. Yes, that's you, little one.
This is my cat Hudson. He hates poor people.
I am
which we are
to get I am working towards getting videos posted on my YouTube channel as well, Wrestling with the MMA. I will keep you guys updated on that and post up definitely on Twitter whenever I do finally drop one.
That's not a good way to say it. It'll be on YouTube when I finally drop one.
I'm keeping the same line of communication. Hey, at least I'm doing better at communicating than NWA is.
This is true. You are communicating something to us. What does this say? They gotta come correct at the live Power, says Sam. And Jay says, I think there was only one Crockett Cup post JCP pre Billy Corgan. Would it surprise you if I told you there were 3? But we'll talk offline. Well, Crockett Foundation Cup. Does that count? I can't see anything, Hudson. You got to get out of the way, buddy.
And shout out to Hudson the Cat. Go watch Hudson Hawk.
Yeah, Hudson Hawk is a terrible movie, and man, I love it.
So bad, great.
Oh yeah, but more importantly, you should go and watch tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The Alliance guys, the guys who did this first. They've been doing this for a decade and a half, something crazy like that. It's J Cal, that's DKM, that's Jaden, the original OG Alliance guys who will have some NWA talk for you, and who really, 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 really know their stuff from perspectives that have great experience in not only just as fans, but everybody knows what Jay's been involved with behind the scenes, and in Jaden's connection up in indie wrestling and in DKM's past with all of that as well. So they are an incredible. There's a reason they've been around for something like 12 or 15 years. It's nuts. They're great. And of course, Jay himself, the captain of our ship, my captain, every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. It's the hour before Power, the pre-party with J Cal. Thank you guys for coming on to the show. We appreciate you all being here. Delusional. Who's delusional? Keep going. I can't keep going. It's 2.5 hours, and I have to go upstairs to see if Raluca has divorced me yet. She may have packed her bags and gone home to mother. So until next time, we will see you guys at the Masters.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.